Good day all, welcome back to TT Art Attack. This is Abstract Art 2. In today's lesson we are using lines and shapes to create our abstract design. So let's make note of some basic lines here now that we'll be using in this exercise. So we have a straight line that we'll pull our brush on that along a straight line. And then we have a curved line. Next we'll be looking at a zigzag line. A wavy line. And some broken lines. Looking at a spotted and a deep wavy line. Okay, so now let's begin the lesson. So let's put some green and white paint half on half on your straight paintbrush. Pay attention to the strokes and the technique used in this lesson. So firstly we're going to look at a nice curved line. We're going to be repeating the steps to create a pattern. Okay, so let's add a little yellow to our existing green and create some more curved lines. All right. Good. Right. So I have my white.
Nice. So I'll get that rare messy turquoise there, which is a result of that green and that blue merging. Right. So I want to extend it a little bit because if I'm need to wash out my brush, I'm gonna lose this color. So I'm gonna see how much I can get out of it. Right. So I just give it its own space right here. I'm giving it some space. Right. So we're gonna get some. So you're getting some. Sometimes you might get some nice little gaps inside there, which is okay, right? Once it's consistent with all the other with the actual design, it's not gonna look really bad with the artwork. And then to who is to say that it's not intentional and it's abstract and it's what you make of your artwork. All right. All right. So I'm now onto a full blue with some white without cleaning my brush. Right. So we know some other strokes. Let's try some other strokes, right? So I'm gonna just try a wavy stroke. Let's utilize a wavy stroke, right? So I'm gonna utilize that. So I'm feeling that there. I'll probably put another one to balance it off on the opposite side right there. All right. Try that wavy stroke. Keep your brush on your palette, your canvas, right, and pull your hand. All right, that works. Good. So I'm gonna alternate my green now. I'm gonna go back to my green so I can get some wavy strokes as well because I've already put this blue inside. I'm gonna get that wavy stroke, with some green. All right. So I have green on one side and I have white on the next side. I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do it close. Right. Nice. Good. So I have some extra white here. I'll just kind of play with it. Get to the edge of my brush. Just to help it blend in. All right. Nice. Right. So we have some waves inside there. We have some curved lines. Um, Let me see. Right. So I'm gonna put my yellow green waves inside here now. So a little touch of my white with my yellow green. Now, so I have my white and my yellow green there. Right. I'm gonna do it southern position. All right. Southern and the northern position right here. All right. Nice. So now I'm going to utilize another stroke. I'm going to utilize from the list of techniques we had here. So we tried the curve one, right? We didn't do any of the straight line. We did the curve one. We did a wave. I'm going to utilize one of those zigzag lines there. I'm going to utilize the zigzag line just right underneath the straight line there. Right. So I'm back to blue without washing on my paintbrush. Blue with a little touch of white. Blue with a little touch of white. Right, I'm going to come in that space there. Right. And let's fade off to the side. Alright. So I'm just going to put it in position almost like a horizon line. So I'm going to play with the idea of probably a mountain line. Right. So I'm getting a unique mix of colors now from the colors that I've selected. Because my brush, I'm not washing out my brush. So I'm getting a nice turquoise mix with my colors. Alright, so I'm going to just make the best of it as I have that on my paintbrush. I'm just make the best of that. Right. So I put some full white on my paintbrush, and I want to get some in this space here. I'll go back to that circular. Right, I'll go back to that circle to get some of that. I love you. Bye bye. Yeah. Bye. Okay. Bye 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 bye. All right. Good. So I'm utilizing that circle inside there. Right. All right. So I want to get that. Good. So I'm gonna make a line. I'm gonna fill with a dab. Next thing. All right. So I'm gonna take just a little edge of that paintbrush. Use a thin brush for this one. So I'm gonna utilize a dabbing technique. But how we're gonna utilize the technique is we're gonna create. I'm gonna create a circle that crosses part of my artwork. Right. Just the outline I want. There's the outline of a circle I want inside there. Right. Let's get the outline of a circle inside of there. Right. All right. So the outline kind of crosses some of the artwork there. All right. So I'll start from the outer edge and just do like the broken lines. Right. I want to get a dabbing motion happening right inside. So if you have a wrong brush, right? So even now if you want to explore different techniques or using different brushes, even if you have a wrong brush, right? I can move it from this flat brush and start using my wrong brush for a different effect. Good. But I would save that for another shape. Right. So I'm gonna just take that. Right. I'm gonna leave some space in it. I'm not gonna totally fill that space. I'm just gonna just suggest some of this color inside of there. Right. Good. All right. So as that works, I'm gonna introduce another shape, probably a triangle. I'm gonna change my tone. Probably I'll use the green as the green as the major. Good. All right. So even using the lines, we can fill these shapes with particular line marks now. Right. For instance, I can fill this triangle with wavy lines. I fill that triangle with wavy lines. Just stay inside that space. Remember, there's no wrong way to do this. We're experimenting. Even even as an artist myself, I'll tell you all works of art that you might consider to be good works, right? Most of them are experimental works, and the artist is always growing and he's perfecting his skill. So sometimes the nice book you see in galleries, those are experimental as well, right? The artist is always perfecting his skill until he probably gets what he wants. He gets the final effect down pack, and then he'll switch to a different medium, or he'll switch and do something else once he is satisfied with what he did. Right, so always experiment. So we're always pushing it to the
Our
limits.
water today is sponsored by
All
Road
right.
Capital.
So we have that wavy line filling out the triangle inside of there. I don't know if you ever saw some abstract work where artists will just put one square block, one red square in the middle of a big black canvas or a big white canvas and call it his finished works, right? Really and truly, as we saw with the last works we did before, the ones with the lines and the abstract piece we did first, there's a whole long process before we get to that one point. So that artist would have gone through a whole long process to get to that one diluted artwork with this one little red square in the center of his artwork. He went through a long process. So the process behind that one red square is what created the piece. Good, nice thoughts. Right. So I'm going to mix a little bit. So I'm going to just introduce a new tone inside here, which is a darker tone. I'm going to mix a little bit of my white with my green and a little touch of the black. So I'm going to get a new tone inside here. Right, so it's going to be a little darker. Right, and I'm also still going to touch some of that blue. So I'm doing a kind of mix up. I'm mixing the colors up, right? And I'm not going to go too strong. And I'm going to just kind of introduce a nice little circle here with that new tone. All right, so it's a little solid. So I'm not going to wash out my brush. Yeah, I'm not going to wash out my brush, but what I'm going to do is just keep on I'll just keep on adding a little piece of color there, and I'll just come. So it's going to see I intensify and the color being intensified slowly. All right, I'm going to keep that wrong motion. I'm going to overlap as well. All right. So if you have a smaller brush, you can vary the sizes of your curves. Vary them a little. So you'll have big ones, small ones in between here. I'm going to do a nice neat wavy line inside there again. Right. So I'm allowing some of these lines to interact with other shapes here. Like for instance, I want it to curve around this shape, interact with it a little. Good. So that line is interacting with that particular shape there. All right. So I'm going to put one to interact with this triangle here as well. Nice neat one, small, not too big. Right. For depth, if we want to add a little bit of depth to the piece, or probably use that color to suggest a shadow. All right, you can just kind of shadow that particular shape there. All right, so I'll give it this dark tone on this side, and on the opposite side, I'll give it a lighter tone, which is white. So simple there. We have something looking like a ghost-like bubble happening right between here. All right, nice. I don't know for you, but my colors are really playing wrong nice on this side here. I don't know if you can see it on your end, right? The piece is actually really harmonizing, really nice, right? But I'm not one for wasting paint, so I'm going to continue. I kind of satisfied with this piece, but I'm not going to waste my paint. I'm just going to continue adding some little highlights to the side here. All right, I'm going to just vary some of my dots, create some clusters. All right. If you want to put variation of lines and shapes inside there, you can go ahead and put some additional ones. Alright, so I'm going to try a variation. Alright, let's try a variation of short strokes on this side here. Try some short strokes. Alright, so I started off with that green at the base here. Then I'm going to alter it a little. So now we're into doing some straight strokes, which is a very straight line version, right? So I'm going to introduce some straight lines inside of there, right? Okay, so I'm introducing some straight lines, right? I'm going to just kind of change the directions, right? Right. I want to make a variation of thick and thin lines, so I don't want just that thick line there. I want to use some thin lines as well. Alright, so I'm right underneath that big one. I just put a nice thin one. And I'll put a thin one crossing. I'll allow them to cross like a jigsaw puzzle right between here, intersections. Alright. Nice. Alright, just for interest in my I think I'll just have a little white stroke. I'll just kind of just rub something in that straight stroke there. Alright. And introduce a thin stroke. So we're using thin lines, a mixture of thin lines and thick lines. All right, so I guess this is where now I have my black, right? So I'm gonna tone it down into a gray by adding a little white. I don't want it too powerful. All right. Remember, we just kind of overlaying some. We don't want if I put this black too solid, it could become the focal point of the piece. We don't want too much of that, right? So I'm gonna do some diagonal lines inside of here. All right, I'm gonna get a diagonal line passing. This is optional. If you don't need this passing through your piece, don't. Right? If you like the piece the way it looks, right? Alright, don't hurt your head by putting any lines inside it. Alright, I'm going to keep them close just for interest. Alright, repetition kind of tends to add a little interest. It adds a little focus to the artwork. Right, a different kind of focus to the artwork. So I'm repeating the line a little bit inside of there. Right, I have a little bit of green coming through. Alright. I'm going to top this off with a nice cross stroke. That's going to make it look like an X in a little while. Alright, so I'm satisfied with those 4 lines. Nice. Good. So now I got my diagonal. So what tends to happen with the piece once we start to add so much dimension, we're adding layers, we're adding depth to our artwork, right? Your eye tends to play around the piece a little bit. Your eye might start to follow these lines here. It is that it will be disrupted by these things here. So it creates a sort of rhythm, right? A playful rhythm in your artwork. Right? If you were working with this piece in an open area, you might have feel inclined to pull these strokes faster. Everything might be quicker if you're working in a bigger space, right? All that is something that adds to the energy and emotion and the feeling in the artwork, right? And that's okay, right? That this is how these artworks are usually created, with vibrance, quick movements, right? And these things translate into the artwork. You could see it in the artwork, you could feel it in the artwork when you watch these artwork because they push out that vibrant motion in the work. The colors as well play a big part because vibrant colors push a happy vibes. All right, this piece is making me very happy, must say. Right, especially the use of that yellow green. That yellow green is that lovely luscious green. Right, I love this color the most. Right, just got some compliments from my daughter there. She practicing art as well. She loved this piece. She want to do one immediately. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's get some. I'm just gonna shadow some because I'm feeling that line. I just inclined to kind of get some circular lines happening here. All right, I want to get some circular lines happening just right here. I'm gonna shadow some of these circles I have here, these nice circles. All right, and I'm feeling that. So I'm gonna just alternate with some colors and shadow some of these circle orbs I have here. All right. Right, so I'm going to allow it to intersect and cross that. So we have some lines now. We're working with that crossing certain things. I hope Beam Mobile don't sue me for using this screen that looks like Beam Mobile green. All right. All right, so I'm going to transition into some blues. Repetition again as I cross. All right, so I'm going to treat my brush and I'm going to utilize some darker tones to get some really fine dots. So I can use the back of my paintbrush and get some nice little fine dots inside of here. There's some little accent dots in certain places. I'll utilize a stippling technique, which is just that process of using dots. right? Right. Right. So introduction to this stippling technique. This is one of the techniques we'll be using. Next time I see you, we'll be using one of these techniques to create texture in our piece. Right. We still have people. A fast cut stippling technique there. Nice. So there is such a thing as to overwork a piece. You could overwork a piece by putting too much into it. It reaches a point where the piece is perfect, and then you could show off the balance by one extra stroke, right? But so you as the artist must know, well, all right, I'm contented with that. It looks, it looks like something, right? For the people that missed it totally again, because I doubt you're the only one that missed, that first class abstract one, right? This will be labeled abstract 2 class. All right. Anybody have any questions about today's lesson?
But what was it about today, sir? Was it abstract today? I didn't make it what?
Pardon, I didn't hear that. What you said?
What was the class about today? The art class about today exactly?
All right, today's art class would have been how we utilize some colors, right? Light colors, for instance. We selected some colors that work good together, that probably would mesh together, and we played with the concept, right? So I showed them how we utilize without using particular lines per se. We utilize colors and different strokes to simulate some of these lines here.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us here at TT Art Attack. Hope to see you again next week and subscribe for more videos like this.